That's just what this jacket makes me feel like, since it has shoulder pads. I'm not fresh. I ain't fresh. I ain't fresh. I ain't fresh. I ain't fresh. I just thought it fit the vibe. Hi, my name is Donnie and welcome to the channel, or welcome back for all my returning customers. Yeah, I know I look extra fly, super good. Shoulders look all nice and broad, so you probably got distracted. You probably forgot. But, did you know your water is supposed to have minerals in it? So when you drink purified water, a lot of the times you go to the bathroom more often because the water's going right through you because there aren't any minerals to like keep the water in you. Listen, I don't know how it works, but some lady on TikTok said put a pinch of salt in your water. That way there's some minerals in it. That way you're actually hydrating your body. Do your own research, but that was a water fact. So you should have had some time to grab some water. Everybody else, cheers. Today we're talking about trad wives. I saw one TikTok about it and I thought to myself, what does trad even mean? Let me do some digging. And boy, did I find out what trad meant. So trad, my good friend, is short for traditional. Nah? You probably already knew this, but this is what Donnie learned, okay? Trad, short for traditional wives. Trad wife is a traditional wife.
It's almost hurtful to me to watch her be so dumb.
Typically denotes a woman who believes in and practices traditional sex roles and marriages. That's from Wikipedia.
You guys know about tradwives? Okay, so there's a whole pool of women now who, I wouldn't call them right-wing, but they're a right-wing adjacent. You know, there are women out there now that are tradwives. They're traditional housewives. They're all hot and they're all like, I cook every meal for my man, and the minute he gets home, I just want to please him. Some of you women out there watching this are like, OMG, I'm a tradwife. They're usually all beautiful and it's giving 50s housewife aesthetic. In the kitchen, meal prepping, maybe making a casserole, baking. They're traditional housewives. They're very modern and very attractive.
So that was the perspective of the trad wives that are trending on TikTok right now. I don't know if you would call being a trad wife a trend, or if you could just say that right now there are trad wives on the younger end of the spectrum that are romanticizing their trad wife lives and making everything really aesthetic and making everything from scratch and just showing off their beautiful lives as a traditional housewife. Also, what I learned today is that there's a group of women who I'm going to refer to as like the working wife. Women who work and are perfectly fine working, enjoy working, some of them. I wouldn't necessarily say they're all girl bosses, but they're just women who are wives that work, but they have opinions on trad wives.
Women in your 20s, you're the age of my daughters. I've got some advice for you. Keep working. Stop glorifying the trad wife, housewife movement. You're going to lose yourself. Talk to the women between the ages of 48 and 55. They might have relationships with their husbands that are still really good, but they've stayed home for 30 years and they've lost themselves. They're all regretting it. Does this mean you need to lose your soul by working 100 hours a week? Absolutely not. Get an advanced degree, work part-time, but don't let your license expire. If you're being told by anyone that it's better to stay home than go to work, you're being lied to. This is the way our patriarchal society keeps men in power and women sequestered.
There's this demographic in both the trad wife life and the working wife life that are at odds with each other. I just wanted to talk about this because I think this is interesting. Me personally, I don't know if you could tell by looking at me, I am in a sapphic relationship.
We're the gays.
I just thought it was interesting to look at the war that is waging between the two and discuss. Do I have thoughts? Yes, I'm gonna have thoughts. Everyone has thoughts, everyone has opinions. I think the whole point of living is to be able to do what you want to do. Am I wrong? Even though this subject isn't really surrounding me, I of course have my own biases. I grew up a certain way. I saw my mom working. My mom still works. So I'm sure my perspective will probably be different than most of the trad wives that we'll take a look at. But honestly, I want to hear what they have to say. I want to see what it's about. Give it a fair chance. I'm in support of anyone who wants to live a soft life, living a soft life.
I lie.
How to become a traditional wife. Number 1, embracing ultra-traditional gender roles into your marriage. The man, he is the provider, the main breadwinner. He goes out of the house.
I guess if you're gay, you're automatically excluded from being a trad wife. right? If there is no man, or if there is no woman, are you allowed to go by like masculine and feminine energy? I want to know if I qualify. Can I qualify?
It works. The woman, the wife, she is the homemaker. She takes care of the home. She takes care of herself, and she does the cooking and the cleaning. Number 2, and I cannot stress this enough, you have to marry the right man. If you marry a guy who in your dating life, he showed abusive and control tendencies, this is a disaster waiting to happen, because when you become financially dependent on this man, he will abuse all of that. So
okay, that's a good point. I think sometimes the abusive, narcissistic, controlling tendencies can be hard to catch because you can hide that. And at any point, people can develop these tendencies that are going to have a negative impact on the relationship based off whatever they're going through in life. I've heard of stories where like before marriage, great person, after marriage, someone completely different. I don't know about this one.
So make sure that you take your dating life very seriously. If you are not dating to eventually marry that person, you're wasting your time.
Sure. Who am I to question that? Sure. I mean, she's not saying you shouldn't date around, I guess. But if you're always dating with the intent to marry, won't that cause things to move a little fast? I don't know. I'm not qualified. She's the teacher here.
Number 3, learn to cook, learn to clean, and learn how to host. I probably got in the kitchen at like 3 years old with my mom, and she taught me how to cook, how to bake. She taught me how to clean, although I could definitely progress on that. Cooking and cleaning are life skills that can benefit you and your family forever.
Yeah.
Number 4,
sure.
You have to have something for yourself. As a traditional wife, you are spending a lot of your day catering to others, whether it is your husband or your family, and it's important to have something that is meant just for you. This
like
could
what?
be sewing, this could be painting, I don't know, ice skating. Find something that is just for you.
I mean, that's good. She's letting us know, hey, you need a hobby. That's nice, right? That's nice. Yeah, this isn't too bad so far. As long as you are a man and a woman and someone is assigned to stay at home and the other one's assigned to go to work and the at-home person knows how to cook, bake, and clean, and you're sure this is the right person for you, so far anyone can be a trad wife. I don't care. With it.
And put that in your life every single day. And number 5, and I mean this in the best way possible, upkeep your beauty maintenance. Men, husbands, they're very visual, and I'm not saying put a full face of makeup on every day, but I do mean to pull yourself together and to make sure that you look presentable, whatever that may mean to you. For me, full face of makeup. I love house dresses, and that's just me. But make sure you are keeping up with your beauty and yourself. You are fit, you are healthy, because you and your husband will benefit from this.
The last tip? That sounds exhausting. Do all that and then look presentable all the time. I'm not cut out for it.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. Lord, no.
But that's how to be a trad wife. We're getting into the lifestyle. So far, nothing too crazy. I don't think it necessarily includes me. I don't think I'm allowed in the trad lifestyle. Esty seems to be a very popular trad wife influencer. We'll see what else she has to say. Oh, this is just her getting ready. She dolls herself up before her husband comes home. Is that important? I don't know if there's any straight men that regularly watch my channel. If there is,
sup, bro?
what's goody? Is that like real? Like, say, you know, you have a wife, 3 kids, you're expecting your wife to be in an outfit. I don't know about anybody else, but if I'm home all day, I'm not putting on real clothes. Jeans?
These niggas, yeah, jeans?
You think I'm wearing jeans in my house? No. If I'm wearing jeans in my house, something has gone terribly, terribly, terribly wrong. Whenever I leave the house, as soon as I get back in, first order of business is to get back comfortable. And I get it. I've learned today that there are some women who are comfortable in dresses, most comfortable in dresses. And if that's the case, I love that for you. It could be me.
Y'all be safe, though.
Let's see if she has any other cool tips.
Why is tradwife content suddenly blowing up? The so-called tradwife trend, I believe, is blowing up. Well, First, let me explain that the trad wife lifestyle is not a trend. It is not trendy to be a traditional wife. This has been done since the beginning of time. However,
Whoa. Were you there? Esty. How do you know? Were you at the beginning of time? You're telling me that there were trad dinosaurs. Is that what you're saying right now, Esty? I don't know, Esty. Kind of a stretch.
Content showcasing this lifestyle is becoming trendy and popular. Thus, the trad wife is trending right now, if that makes sense. Some of the reasons I believe that trad wife content is trending: one, because we have a culture that is trying to blur the distinction between being a man and a woman. Two,
I think that confirmed it. I think that confirmed I'm not allowed to be a trad wife. Are you speaking about trans people? Or is this just referring to like the gender roles of man and woman, which then would bring me back to, what about the non-binaries? Are they excluded as well? Trad wives, are the gays, the theys, the thems, and the neithers, are they allowed? Can you be a tradinary? I just want to know. I'm assuming no, because that defeats the whole purpose of tradition, which the trad is short for, but let me know.
it is more popular to have two providers in the home rather than one provider and one homemaker. Three, we have a whole generation of women who are burnt out
What
after...
was the point of that? Let's go back to point 2, because I don't understand how that contributes to why it's becoming talked about more recently.
It is more popular to have two providers in the home rather than one provider and one homemaker. Three, we have a whole generation of women who are burnt out at their career and they're tired of being a provider and a homemaker when they come home from their job.
I believe that. I think everybody's tired of working, men and women, but I do think there is a point to be made there that whether the household is 50-50 with both counterparts working or not, it's usually women or person with the feminine energy doing more of the cleaning after getting home from work. I do see those TikToks of girls where they're like, I think a lot of people do feel that way, but I don't think that's exclusive to women. I also see guys post TikToks about how they're tired of working. I think everyone's tired of working. We're all tired.
Fast food is far more common to eat, and pre-made and processed food rather than food from scratch, which is why you will see these made from scratch creators getting more popular. 5. Basic homemaking skills being taught to young girls in the home has skipped a generation. Thus, we have a whole generation of women that are hungry to learn these basic skills, and they are looking to the internet to teach.
Skipped a whole generation. Like, which whole generation doesn't know how to cook and clean? There are a few outliers who didn't learn how to do both of those, but there's a generation of us. Which one? Gen Z? Gen Alpha? Aren't they still kids?
Don't be shy, you can at me, sis.
I do hear that that is a very American thing, is to not make things from scratch, and all the processed food that we eat, very American. It was like a couple years ago, I was talking to one of my friends, and I was like, yeah, I made a cake or cupcakes or something like that. This was actually with my friend Erica. I have a video on my channel with her, actually, if you want to watch that video. She was like, yeah, you made a box cake. And I was like, box cake, what are you talking about? She's like, you use the powder from the box to make the cake. And I was like, well, yeah, that's how you make a cake. And she was like, no, you can make a cake from scratch. And I was like, that's not making it from scratch. And she was like, no, that's absolutely not making it a cake from scratch.
What do you mean by that?
There is definitely a large disconnect with Americans who have lost touch with how to make their food. Other countries just do be making stuff. She kind of ate with that. That's definitely a large reason why people are talking about trad wives, because it's really amazing to watch you guys make meatballs.
Teach them these skills. This is what happens when the pendulum swings so far one way. It has to come back down. And a lot of people believe the tradwife movement is an overcorrection to modern feminism. I do not believe that. I believe the tradwife movement is bringing balance back to families. Anyways, those are some reasons I believe that tradwife content is blowing up all of a sudden. Bye.
Balancing families is a bold statement because you're still working. Your spouse, your person, they go off to work, clock in, do whatever they do. If you're at home and you're doing the basics of homemaking, baking, cooking, cleaning, if you have kids, taking care of kids, that is also work. You're just not being paid for it, alright? If you're on your knees scrubbing the toilet after your man took the deepest, dankest of his life, I would classify that as unpaid labor, no? Okay, maybe you're paid in housing? Do y'all get an allowance? I mean, you guys are both working. It's just when he gets back home from work, he doesn't have to do much. And when you are done with work, well, you're not ever really done. Does it stop? I'm just not sure if it's an equal trade-off. And it all depends on how you look at it. If all that stuff is what you feel like you're meant to do, it's just like having a job where it doesn't feel like you're going to work every day, right? If you feel like your entire being wasn't meant to be a housewife and you're in bliss every day because working doesn't really feel like work and your unpaid labor doesn't really feel like labor, then I guess it's probably fine. We've got the basics down of how to be a trad wife from SD. Let's hear from some of the working wives, maybe even former trad wives.
I'm going to tell you why that whole trad wife trend is absolute bullcrap. I just got off the phone with a friend of mine who has been married for about 15 years now. Before she got married, she got a master's degree in education and a law degree. She met her husband in law school.
Amazing.
He wanted a traditional wife.
Okay.
She did not take the bar, and instead they got married. He took the bar. He passed the bar. He became a lawyer, and she became a full-time housewife and later a mom. Times 5. They have 5 children. Okay, fast forward 15 years where...
I'm sorry, 5 kids? 5 kids? It's not Duggar levels, but 5 kids is a lot.
He has been cheating on her for years. She finally caught him red-handed. She has enough confidence and determination to say, I want a divorce, I'm done.
Yes.
He's walking away with a $300,000+ job that he got, by the way, from one of her mom friends in a mom group.
Oh, no. You have to quit the job. I would demand that he quit that job. Terminate him immediately. I would be outside of the workplace protesting daily until he was fired.
Enough is enough. Enough is enough.
Let's just put that aside. She has nothing. She has 2 advanced degrees, 0 experience. So are they even worthwhile? Are they even worth anything? She has nothing to show for it. And in the last 15 years, what has changed in law and in education? Probably quite a bit. So she is stuck at this crossroads of feeling like she has nothing. And before you say alimony, he is trying to screw her out of everything he possibly can. She cannot keep the house, even though she has primary custody of the children. She can't afford it. She has no job. Absolutely no job right now. And even if she did, there are 5 children. So between drop-offs and pickups at 4 different schools, she has about 3 hours in the daytime when she is not tending to children. So to any woman who is considering that the trad wife lifestyle might be it for you, I encourage you to think about this story. Remember it. And just remember that you as a woman need to have something for yourself. You have to take care of yourself and put yourself first. You can still love and support your husband and be an incredible wife who takes care of your man, but take care of yourself first.
Excellent point. And I think that brings up the key problem with being a trad wife. Men. No, I mean that in the sense. You love men, you think they're great. I'm sure they're awesome. And there's great men out there. But the fact that just men, the minds just wander. Esty said it herself, they're very visual people. And you know what's all around the world? Visuals. If I had to upkeep myself just to make sure my man didn't look elsewhere, I would be stressed all the time. There's ass everywhere. Left.
Ass.
You look to your right.
Hella ass.
And if that's all they think about, I mean, they're just ravenous. They're insatiable. Can they just not get enough? There's just so many stories about how men will be men and guys will be guys. And I'm just like, to put your entire future in the hands of a man.
I don't remember that shit.
Ran by... Look at the state we're in. It just seems a bit risky, is all I'm saying.
We're talking about trad wives again today, and oh my god, do I have a story for you. TikTok ruined my husband of 12 years. Now he wants a trad wife, and we're getting divorced. I'm going to go through and summarize the article, but basically that they got married, they were never a traditional couple, they both worked, they both had the same hours at work, and all of a sudden he started watching trad wife content and idolizing a specific content creator and started making mean, nasty comparative comments to her and talking about how now he wants a submissive trad wife. even though she said she never wanted to be a homemaker or a stay-at-home.
Hey, buddy, what were you doing on TRADwife TikTok, huh? Where's your mind at? Shouldn't you be somewhere building a house? Instead, you're on TikTok? Listen, I already told you I was biased.
Home mom, and they had been living 12 years of their marriage with a very, very equal dynamic, and all of a sudden he becomes verbally abusive. He says he wants a submissive wife, that he deserves better, and yada, yada, yada. He ends up contacting other women, having emotional affairs, and now they're getting divorced, quote unquote, because he deserves better. Now, as someone who does have like a semi-50s aesthetic and is a stay-at-home mom, I often get lumped into this idea of being a trad wife. But I want to start off by saying there's nothing wrong with having traditional gender roles as long as that's something, as the woman, you want to participate in and you feel safe and supported in doing so. Same thing with dressing modestly. I don't think there's a problem with a woman choosing to dress modestly or a woman choosing to stay home with her children because that's how she feels the most fulfilled. I think the problem comes in when that's the type of woman a man is searching for, because usually they're doing that to search for somebody who they can be dominant over.
Exactly, which is why Esty was telling us you gotta make sure you're marrying the right person, but you can only be dating for marriage, seriously, to know that they're the right person.
You sure about that?
And tradwife content can kind of lean into the fantasies of men like this, these men who are wishing to have this submissive, dominant role within their marriages. And what you see online absolutely has an element of fantasy and cosplay that gets lost in the social media literacy of some of these viewers. That is one of the reasons I take a lot of issue with tradwife creators on TikTok who talk about this being the idealized and natural role of a woman. Because although that might be right for you, making that a broad generalized statement can do some real harm to actual women and actual marriages, like in that article.
I think this was a valid statement. Be a tradwife if you want to be a tradwife, but you can't go around perpetuating this narrative about how every woman should be a tradwife because it's harmful. I like that stance.
A lot of these tradwives are in my comments talking about, my man loves me, he would never do that to me. Lucifer loved God. He still betrayed him. That's the thing, you can't be like, my man would never, my man would never, my man would never. Check the comments. These men be never like a mother.
That goes for everyone. As soon as you say, oh, my partner would never, they're gonna show you never like you never would have thought it never before in your life and start nevering as if never existed.
I am married. I've been married for 7 years to a wonderful, equal partner who is an amazing guy, an amazing dad. But I'm not stupid enough to not have a job. Because if he left me tomorrow...
I think saying someone is stupid for not having a job, it may be a bit rude. It might be rude. I might classify that as rude. If you don't want a job, you don't want a job. I just think be aware of the consequences that could arise. And maybe if you can, take some precautions for yourself to be prepared if something were to happen.
I don't want to have to rebuild my life. Just saying. I don't want to have to rebuild my life. It's one thing to have confidence in your partner, and I do have a high degree in confidence with my partner and of my partner, but I'm not delusional, and I'm not stupid, okay? I'm not a fool. I understand.
I just want to say, I don't think all tradwives are stupid or delusional. I see the point in which is being made here, but I don't think being a tradwife is stupid inherently.
And that things happen, people change. Life is a constant motion of evolving. People are always evolving. So why would I put my trust in a man? And what these young trad wives don't understand is that you are a choice to that man. And he can make a choice to keep you or he can make a choice to leave you. And the fact that you are willing to gamble your life and your 40s and your 50s and your 60s on being a choice for a man, girl, God bless you. That's all.
The delivery, a bit harsh, but I get what she's saying. Men, they're so fickle, you know? Humans are fickle. Again, I don't think it's dumb to trust your partner. If you trust your partner with your life, good for you. There are women in their 40s and 50s and 60s who were traditional wives and who gave up a lot of themselves, who ended up in not so good financial situations. When you married the valedictorian, became a perfect trad wife, living in $1 million house to end up single mom with a useless college degree. Another former trad wife trying to warn the trad wife girlies. I think the point that most of the working wives are trying to make is that it may not be the best move to depend on one person, just like we learned that having a 9 to 5 provides a false sense of security. Doing the responsibilities of a trad wife, looking good, cleaning, baking, cooking, all that stuff doesn't secure you a future within that marriage with that man, I think is like the main point. We'll go back to some of the trad wives and see what they have to say.
I understand the whole trad wife movement. I'm a part of it. Love it, okay? One thing I do not understand is these videos being like, my toddler requested Cocoa Puffs and jam scones and toast for breakfast. So now I'm going to make everything from scratch and cook it all, and it's probably going to take 6 hours. My toddler just asked for breakfast, and it's going to take me probably 3 to 6 hours to cook this toddler breakfast.
Apparently, there is even a subgroup of trad wives who are not a part of the making everything from scratch movement. Even the trad wives are fed up with the Nara Smith propaganda. Representation matters. I'm teaching my daughter that it's perfectly acceptable to depend on a man, that being a homemaker is the #1 career she should strive for, and that serving her husband and bearing children will bring her the greatest joy. What if she doesn't want to do that? Is that okay? As a trad wife, if your spawn doesn't want to be a trad wife, are you going to accept them as a working woman?
Not to be racist or anything, but
I do think women bear a greater purpose than to make a man happy and to bear kids. What if you raise her with all these values and then she's infertile? Has she failed as a woman? What are the parameters here?
We live in a day and age where traditional homemaking has been forgotten about and even looked down on, where women are fighting to be in the same positions as men, indoctrinated to focus more on their careers and less on the home. When God created men and women more than just biologically different, our roles are meant to complement each other, not to compete. Our husbands are to be the breadwinners as we are to be the bread makers.
She ate with that. Husbands, breadwinners, wives, bread makers. She ate us up with that one. Where'd she get that from?
Has been replaced with feminism with the sole purpose of keeping women out of the home, which forces those to rely on the government to teach and raise our children. Marriage is falling apart because the God who created it is being left out of it, and an overall disconnect in the home.
Marriages are falling apart whether God is in the equation or not. I think marriages are falling apart more so because of money, infidelity, and miscommunication. That's just my opinion, though.
Because the one created to nurture it has been empowered to neglect.
Is that just saying because women work, it's causing the infrastructure of families to fall apart?
Not gonna lie, don't tell the feminists, but I would rather stay home and cook and clean. I would rather do it. When I tell you,
I'm confused.
What does that have to do with the feminists? The feminists didn't say you couldn't stay home and cook and clean. I'm sure the feminists love that for you.
I love to cook and clean. Just don't tell the feminists. I love to do.
Are you saying that a feminist wouldn't cook and or clean? I don't think that's the definition of feminism. Who hurt you?
Do it, and I love to do it for a man. I do. However, not outside of marriage. Absolutely not. That sounds like hell. But just to see the look on a man's face when you cook him a meal that is so good, you could just tell he's proud. There's just something, I don't know, there's something within me as a woman. Maybe it's almost turning 25 that got me thinking, like, this cooking and cleaning thing isn't bad. Like, I just don't.
She's almost 25 and she's like, oh, I feel it. I feel it. The power of cooking and cleaning has overcome me with joy. That's the power of Pine Sol. I'm not an expert on anything, but I don't think the feminist movement was to keep women from cooking and cleaning. What is this perpetual fear of feminism that you have, Mallory?
I don't understand why women wanted to work. What was the point? Like, there is nothing
for money
satisfying about working. A man that takes care of you?
To you.
Just like there are women who don't want to work, there are women who do want to work and who enjoy working and want to be able to work if they feel like working.
A man that provides for you? You don't have to worry about anything? No bills? I will cook and clean all day. Like, what is the complaint? I'm making some fire food tonight. I'm going to serve it.
and I'm just enjoying it. Yes, I'm crying over some onions, but is this what we fought for as women? I don't know. I'd rather cry over some onions than cry about a job, that's for sure.
Okay.
This cooking and cleaning thing isn't bad. Like, I just don't understand why women wanted to work.
Cut this shit out. You are working. This framing that there are women who work and there are women who don't work because men have gifted them the opportunity to stay home and cook and clean for them, you're both working. It is fine to want to stay home and do those things, but that is not a gift of no labor. You are both working, and when you're doing it exclusively in the home, you're working with no rights, no protection, no safety net. You're providing services that if you weren't around, that man would have to pay multiple professionals to get, because it's work, it's valuable work. But your job security in doing that is entirely contingent on that man deciding to keep you around. As your youth and your beauty, two things that are very protective of that job security, to a certain point, start to fade. Just because it feels fulfilling and free to not go to work every day does not mean you are free. All of the comments on this video are like, this is feminism. Making a choice of the life you want to live is feminism. No, feminism is collective liberation for all women. Feminism is women having the resources to not—
Allie's preaching right now. Allie knows stuff.
Not have to depend on men. Feminism is freedom from oppression, and freedom from oppression is having choices. Without money coming in that is yours, if that relationship ends, your job ends. You'll have no money, you'll have no resume, you'll have no references, no roof over your head, no unemployment check, you will have no choices but to find another man to support you. You need to make this man be paying you for the services you're providing as if you had a real job, so that if that marriage ends, you have something to fall back on. Say, if I forgo working out—
That goes back to the allowance I was talking about.
Outside of the home to stay home and take care of this family, I get this % of everything if we break up. If he says no to some type of agreement like that, then him allowing you to not work is not about letting you have the life that you've always dreamed of. It's about making you dependent on him and exploiting your labor. All these trad wife light videos, it looks lovely and empowering and free to not be some loser feminist who has to go to work until their man changes their mind, or until you change your mind, like, oh my god, and then you will have nothing. He will have all the money you allowed him to make in his career, and he'll get everything he needs from the next woman in line itching to take your place because she was brainwashed by trad wife shit on the internet.
And I think I'm gonna leave the video right there, because I think we've seen enough perspective to kind of get a good idea of where everybody's coming from. At the end of the day, people are gonna people, and I support whatever's making you happy. I just thought this discussion was interesting. I like to work. I find a sense of fulfillment in working. I hope to be able to provide a lifestyle where my family can depend on me financially, and I can relieve some financial pressure with my loved ones close to me. And that would give me a sense of fulfillment and purpose, and especially if I could do it with what I love doing. But that's not everyone's goal, and that's not everyone's dream, and that's not what everyone feels like their purpose is. And I'm not gonna rile up the trad wives. I'm not gonna do it. If you're a trad wife in my comment section right now, riled up by anything I had to say, please know I just hope you're happy. And to the working wives that are trying to warn these women, there's a saying. I don't know where it's from. I'm gonna find it. Those who do not hear must feel, or something like that. That being said, thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, be nice to each other. Just because someone's opinions or beliefs don't align with yours don't necessarily mean that they're wrong. That everyone has their own opinions, beliefs, and belief systems. So everyone, just live your lives, do what you want to do. Whatever you do, drink some water, maybe put a little salt in it, some minerals, have some vitamins, something. Trad wife or not, finish this hard. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, line it up. Line it up. Perfect. If you watched the entire video, thank you. If you chose to like, if you chose to subscribe, thank you. If you're already subscribed, come here. I love you. A breadwinner and a bread maker? Nah, she ate with that. What about the non-strays? What would you call? We're bread eaters. Bread eaters, yup.